Okay, let's do this. Hi, welcome to Menopause Chicks. This is office hours, and today I'm very pleased to welcome our guest and a new topic. Dr. Karen Parmar is a naturopathic doctor in Langley. Hi, Karen.
Hi, Shirley.
Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
We were just chatting before we went live, and I'm very looking forward to this conversation. It's a bit of a line in the sand for Menopause Chicks because there are a number of women's health topics that we want to unpack for our community beyond kind of the perimenopause, menopause 101 that we do talk quite a bit about. And at the top of that list is women's brain health. Yes. And I understand you are keenly interested and educated and an expert in that area. So let's start. Is there anything that you wanted to say about you and your practice before we get started?
I've been in practice for 20 years
Okay.
in Fort Langley Integrated Health Clinic, always with a focus on women's health and hormonal health. Started off primarily working with women with fertility issues. And in the last 5 years, I think because of my own personal experience and where I am in my age and stage of life, my interest definitely has grown into perimenopause and menopause and the hormone balance cascade that happens during that time. I wouldn't say I'm an expert in brain health, but I would say that it's a very personal interest for me in terms of women's health. And one of the diseases that really affects women as we age. And it is personal for me. I have Alzheimer's in my family and dementia. So it pushes me to read about and learn about and see what I can do as a naturopathic physician for my own health to help prevent me going in that pathway. So it's personal, and I do read a lot about it. And I think that it's information that needs to get out there for sure.
Absolutely. I mean, I asked the question in our community, in the Menopause Chicks community yesterday, just in terms about who is concerned, very concerned, or not concerned at all about their brain health. And it struck me as the responses were coming in, like really all of us are affected by brain health. There's no get out of jail free card because we know someone, it might be in our family, as you mentioned, we might be a caregiver. We might be a partner to someone who is challenged with brain health. So this is really important. So what is it that you want women to know about brain health?
I think the biggest piece for me is that it's something that you can have the best results with if you back up and you start thinking about it before it really becomes in your periphery.
Okay.
You know, the best research is on doing preventative measures in your perimenopausal years or early menopausal years. And the steps that you take during that time really are going to benefit you the most when you hit the ages of which it's more prevalent, 60s, 70s, and above. And if you wait until you're 60 or 70, you don't have the same treatment options because there is really no treatment for Alzheimer's. And Alzheimer's is really, you know, the most predominant form of dementia affecting women in the years.
So be proactive. Are you going to share with us some of those tips for how we can be proactive?
For sure. So, you know, you hear about keeping your mind sharp and exercising your brain, for sure. The research isn't super strong on that, but I think it is an important component. Exercise as well, you know, keeping that blood flowing. It's all about blood flowing. So I'll put that out there too. But the three things really that have the best research in terms of preventing Alzheimer's are sleep.
Sleep.
A big one. Sleep is a big one. And sleep not medicated. If you're taking Gravol or Zopiclone or antihistamines, Nitol, things like that, you're not getting the sleep that you need that's going to help your brain. Those medications decrease acetylcholine levels, and that decreased acetylcholine levels is a contributor to dementia and amyloid plaque buildup. And every day your brain builds amyloid. And when you sleep in deep sleep, you cleanse that amyloid, and those medications don't allow for that, and it can build up and increase your chance of Alzheimer's and dementia. So sleep is really, really important. And that's really tricky because when you take those medications, a lot of times you feel like you've slept and you think, okay, well, I'm doing okay. But really, we need to really make sure that we're doing all we can to have good sleep hygiene and getting a good 7 to 8 hours of sleep per night and deep. And there are things out there, you know, there's things out there that can help with that. And every woman is different in terms of what is going to help. And I could throw it up, you know, a few things that are good in that mix, but everybody is different. And there's so many things, and it's really going to be figuring out what works for you. You know, is it an issue with deep sleep? Is it an issue with staying asleep? Is it an issue with falling asleep? And then different things can be added in to help with those. And, you know, some of the common ones would be melatonin, a form of magnesium that helps with sleep. GABA is another good one. Theanine is a good one. CBD oil, again, as well, really good for sleep. So there's herbs as well, and then hygiene, you know, no screens before bed, cool room, not eating 3 hours before you go to bed, all that sort of stuff. But really working with a woman to make sure that they have the best opportunity to get a restful sleep. And I didn't even touch on hormones. I mean, that's going to be the backdrop of all of this, you know, as hormones decrease and do this, sleep becomes a major issue. And that might be part of the, you know, treatment protocol too, with some hormones to help you sleep. But that's number one, sleep.
Those are great tips. And as you were speaking there, I couldn't help but think about how often in our health, in managing our health, we're looking for that short-term fix.
Yeah.
And we really have to, when we're talking about brain health, if I'm hearing you correctly, yes, we have to manage sort of what's in front of us and meet women where they are, but we also have to have a long-term view.
It is sort of a long-term view, because what you're going to do when you're 45, 47, 50, 55 is going to greatly affect what's going to potentially happen when you're 55, 60, 65, 70. And it's not we need to do something for 2 months to prevent this. It's really starting something in those perimenopausal years and continuing it through.
Okay, so I know I'll let you move on to your next tip. I could probably talk to you all day, but before we move on from sleep, can you just please speak to alcohol? Because often in our 40s, 30s, 40s, 50s, whatever, we are leaning on maybe a drink or two to help us get to sleep.
Yeah. So again, it's not going to give you a deep sleep or an REM sleep. It's full of sugar, so it inhibits both of those. You know, you don't want to have a high sugar content in your blood when you go to bed. Okay. What I think is happening though is alcohol stimulates the same receptors as progesterone in the brain. So I think it has a lot to do with decreased progesterone levels, that the alcohol is sort of working on that same pathway. GABA is in that pathway too. So those that do better with alcohol, it's actually a clue to how we can actually get deeper and help some of them underlying concerns that maybe alcohol is giving you a quick fix for.
Oh, that's cool. I think we're going to have a separate office hours on that.
Totally. And nothing wrong with having a glass of wine or something, but I would just suggest backing it up, you know, having it while you're making dinner, finish it when you have dinner, done, you know.
Okay. So exercise, sleep, what's next?
Yep. Essential fatty acids.
Okay.
Essential fatty acids, right? Fish oils, omega-3 in particular.
Okay.
So omega-3 are your EPA and your DHA.
And do you think it's possible to eat enough omega-3s?
Well, I think you would have to have fish 3 or 4 times a week, and a lot of people don't do that.
Correct.
I don't think we get enough.
Right.
No, I don't think we get enough. And omega-3s, at least 1,000 milligrams a day. I would go, 1,200 to 1,500 milligrams a day. That's usually, if it's a really high potency capsule or liquid, it's usually 1 or 2 a day. Okay. And research has shown, again, if you start that early, before the signs of dementia, it helps to increase blood flow. It's a bit of a vasodilator. It keeps your blood from getting sticky. So it increases blood flow and it decreases inflammation. And inflammation is a big precursor to Alzheimer's and dementia as well.
Awesome.
So good quality fish oil, EPA, DHA, those are the 2 omega-3s. So usually you'll see it as, fish oil, 1,000 milligrams, and it'll break down the EPA and DHA. People often ask which is better. EPA converts to DHA, so I tend to supplement with EPA higher because it converts to DHA, but you can rotate through, and you pretty much want smaller fish, anchovies, mackerel, herring, smaller fish, because fish do live in, polluted waters now. So the toxins bioaccumulate. So the big fish eat the little fish, right? And the bigger fish eat the medium-sized fish. So if you eat the big fish, then you tend to have a higher accumulation of toxins. And the thing with fish oils, I would make sure you get one that's third-party tested for heavy metals. That's the big thing. You want to make sure that it's third-party tested, so you're getting a clean oil.
Okay, so that's a lot of information. So if all you heard was omega-3,
yes.
Dr. Karen, do you have a brand, or do you have what do you take?
I usually take a Nordic Naturals if I'm on a capsule. And of course, I'll buy something that my whole family can take. And I have 4 children ranging from 8 to 18. So
wow.
I will do, I have a capsule in the house. So I like Nordic Naturals Pro EPA. It's a lemon flavor. Mm-hmm. That one goes down well. I do like the, I think it's Genestra Super EFAs. They're really potent, like a teaspoon gives you well over 1,000, but sometimes it doesn't go down so well with my whole family. So,
okay.
And then Bob Mayer, who's with Pure Pharmacy, has a line, and he has a magnesium and a D and an iron that I've used a lot. And he has a new fish oil out, and I just saw it downstairs at Pure when I was at work yesterday, and it's 1,000, and it has a really high potency of EPA and DHA. And again, it's a small fish. It's sardines, herring, mackerel. So I think I'll probably be using that a lot too.
And is it a liquid?
It's a capsule.
It's a capsule. Okay.
It's a capsule.
Yeah. There's 3 options for everyone. Yeah. Thank you.
And there's more. There's more. Just make sure it's third-party tested. I would say Nutri-C is another one that's available in a lot of health food stores.
Yeah.
Nutra and then SCA. And I think it's an East Coast Canadian company, and that's a good quality one too.
Yeah, and they have some nice flavors.
They do. They do. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, great. What else?
On to number 3.
Yes.
And probably the most researched in terms of Alzheimer's prevention is estrogen.
Okay.
It's a big one. In the early 1900s, only 5% of women lived past the age of 50. Yeah. So now the average lifespan is, 80, close to 80. And so we potentially live 30 years of our lives without really any hormones.
Right.
And this is new. And there aren't really any other mammals except for a couple of sea creatures that really have menopause and live past their fertility years. And estrogen, as it doesn't even really decline, as it plummets when we stop cycling, has a whole host of side effects that happen with that. And estrogen decreases amyloid plaques, like we talked about in terms of sleep and brain health. It decreases inflammation. It increases circulation to the brain. There's estrogen receptors in our brain, especially in our learning and memory centers. And when that decreases, we have trouble remembering things and learning new things. And that probably is the best researched. And again, the research that goes with that talks about the benefits of doing that in the early menopause years, really up until, you're 10 years post-menopause. Yeah. That's when you'd get the benefit. If you wait till after that, it actually, if you already have a little bit of Alzheimer's or dementia starting, it's actually shown that it could make it worse. So that's a really important one to remember early on when you're starting to have changes in your cycles, even before you stop your cycles completely, and especially in the first couple of years of menopause, because that is going to help with your brain. as well with your heart and as well with your
Yeah,
but
exactly. Heart, bones. I mean, it's just the phrase that we like to use is this is such an opportune time to invest,
yes.
right? We're taught to, our whole lives, we're taught to save for retirement. We're taught to save for our children's education, but
Yeah.
there isn't, I don't believe, adequate education for women to say, now's the time to invest.
No.
Because yes, science will keep us alive to 80 or 100, as you mentioned,
Yeah.
but we want vitality, not just longevity, right?
Yeah, I agree. And a lot of our medical system is really geared toward, we'll wait till you have a symptom. And then when you have a symptom, you go and you get that checked and you deal with it then. And this is a very different way of thinking. This is okay, I'm at the stage in my life. What are my risks laying ahead? Not only what am I experiencing now and what can I do to help mitigate some of those risks and have a better quality of life. And it all goes hand in hand with, just taking care of ourselves around the time of change and transition.
That's awesome. You mentioned early on that there is no treatment for Alzheimer's.
No, there's not.
So is dementia like a spectrum that you can't reverse? Just what we're doing is preventing going further forward down the spectrum?
Alzheimer's in particular does not have a treatment. Other forms of dementia have some different treatments offered, but there is no cure and treatment for Alzheimer's. And they've tried many different drugs and there's nothing at this point in time.
Okay. Now I know there's quite a bit of money being thrown at brain health and women's brain health. What do you predict that we're going to see out of some of the research that's happening?
Well, I hope that it becomes more public knowledge that really prevention is your best cure. That's what I hope.
That's a good tagline for this video.
Yes, prevention is your best cure.
Yeah, thank you. Is there anything else that you'd like to add, Karen?
That I would like to do this more often. I'd like to be on this in-office video more often, become a resource for people. If there's topics you'd like to hear about, things you'd like to learn about, maybe you can gather some of that information and we can continue this conversation.
That is amazing. Thank you so much. It's a gift that our health professionals like you give to the Menopause Chicks community. If you have any questions, please put them in the comments below. I'll make sure that they get back to Dr. Karen. We will continue this conversation and we will certainly have you back for future office hours.
Thank you, Shirley.
Okay, have a great day.
You too. Take
Bye.
care. Bye-bye.